So officer, please share the show. I'd assume you're already following the page.
Come on, this is your time. No topics too tough, just heed the calls. From mental health woes to justice we seek. Together we rise for the strong and the meek. A safe space for all, let's lift every voice. In a circle podcast where hearts unite, sharing our truths, bringing hope to the light. Community strong, we're never alone. Together as one, we've created a home. With laughter and love, we break down the walls. No topics too tough, just heed the calls. From mental health woes to justice we seek. Together we rise for the strong and the meek. A safe space for all, let's lift every voice. So join the conversation, let's set the tone. In a circle podcast where love is well known.
Good evening and welcome to the Inner Circle podcast. Today is Thursday, May 1st. We're already in May, right? The year is going fast. So this is the Inner Circle podcast where we amplify voices that matter, empower dreams that inspire, and elevate communities that change the world. Tonight, we are honored to be joined by Officer Joseph S. Fayiah, a devoted husband, father, and decorated law enforcement professional with over a decade of combined service in correction and policing. Officer Fayiah currently serves with the Newark Police Department in New Jersey and is the secretary of the Association of Liberian Law Enforcement Professionals. He joined us for a deep and powerful conversation about identity service, building bridges in the law enforcement after immigrants. So, Officer Fayiah, thank you so much for taking up your busy schedule to join us from the great state of New Jersey. So, again, folks, I'm your host, Abe Kamara, and tonight our topic is immigrant in law enforcement, breaking barriers and building trust. So, Titus, man, you can introduce yourself quick to our audience as usual, and then we'll jump right into things.
Thank you, Abe. Thanks for having me. And I'm glad to be here tonight and, to share this platform with all of you and to our folks who are always following us, always engaging us. We appreciate you come again and participate. Officer Fire here is no stranger to me. I am, as I was saying earlier, this guy is so busy. It took a lot for him, a lot of commitment and dedication for him to honor this invitation. And brother, I am so grateful you're here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, man.
Okay. Okay. Ms. B, thanks for joining the show. Quick intro, and then we'll get right into things.
Good evening, everyone. It's your girl, Miss B. I'm here. Let's do this.
Okay. Thank you. And then, folks, you can follow the Inner Circle podcast, subscribe to our YouTube channel that is growing, follow us on Facebook. Everywhere you get your podcast, LinkedIn, Apple Podcasts, Spotify is a growing community. As Titus said, join this movement. We are here to feature folks like Officer Fayiah who are making a great impact in our immigrant communities in these parts of the world, the United States of America. So, Officer Fayiah, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Can you just introduce yourself quick to our audience? Where are you from? Your background and the motivation of you joining the police force.
Well, thank you, AB. Thank you, Titus, my friend and brother, and Ms. B. I just want to say thank you guys for having me on this show. This is one of the best shows on social media. I tell you because I'm a follower. I call once on the show whenever I can. I just follow the show. And you guys are doing extremely well. By way of introduction, I am Joseph Fayiah, originally hail from Fayiah District, Lofa County. I immigrated to the United States of America and settled in the great state of New Jersey. All right. And I've been here for a couple of years now. doing the same old thing that every immigrant do, man. Just follow the right thing, keep your head, keep your nose clean. And by the grace of God, I was able to, follow my dream, which is if even I was going to be in Liberia, I was thinking about joining the police, not just to, be part of the number, but to make a difference.
Mm.
That was my motivation. And look, we all grew up in Liberia, walking down Waterside, Douala, red light. You see police officer taking, bribe. You know, they will have someone on the right reason. All right. A taxi driver shouldn't be parking certain places. The police driver do a lawful stop. You shouldn't be stopped. You shouldn't be parking at that location and picking up passenger. That's a lawful stop. But in our community, what we grew up seeing was, the taxi driver would just fold his hands and just put it in the police officer hand, and that's it. Right within our time, the person leave. And I always thought about it. Look, walking down Broad Street from school, I attended Moravia College. So when we coming down Broad Street or from
Yeah.
Benson Street, we see this thing. It was common. All right, I like, look, if I am opportune, I will join the Liberian National Police and I will make a difference. That has been my dream, but fortunately, I was able to come to the United States where I continued my studies in criminal justice, and I was able to, you know, um, got picked up by the state after sitting a competitive test.
Hmm.
You score high, you get accepted in to the academy. Went to the academy, and like every other police officer in the United States, I must give kudos to them, man. If even you see a tiny police officer, it might be a female, so they have gone through a lot to
Yeah.
wear the uniform. So I got a lot of respect for female police officer, male police officer. If even they are old, they went through a lot. All
Okay.
right. So this is where I come from. That's my background.
Okay.
My parents,
Okay.
I'm grateful to them, and my
Mhm.
wife that all stood by me until I was able to graduate from the academy, and then now I'm in, serving the police.
Okay. For the sake and education of our audience, how long have you been in the police force?
I've been in the police for, well, I started from corrections.
Okay.
I went to the academy, and then I completed corrections, started working, and then the next thing I got called by the police.
Okay.
So a combine of we looking at almost 10 years, man.
10 years. Okay.
But for
Okay.
now, I did 7 years with police. I'm currently serving my 7th year in the
Okay.
police force.
Okay. Miss B, question from you. You're on mute. You're on mute. You're on mute.
Uh, well, congratulations, my brother, for stepping in a field that has so many facets, dynamics, and adversities to it. So we want to tell you thank you for stepping in the place where we need more diversity and more representation. But I want to know, like, what is that thing that you felt or that light bulb that went off and said, hey, I need to join the police force in the American police force of at that rate?
Well, thank you so much, Ms. B. Liberia was a different instance. All right. In Liberia, my drive was to curtail the issue of corruption.
Yeah.
But coming to the United States, that one thing that sparked in me was the issue of diversity. Look,
Mm.
when I came to the US, even before coming to the US, there was always complaints of police and the community, they don't
Mhm.
correlate, they don't go hand in hand.
Mhm.
Those that serve the community doesn't look like the community. So of
Mm.
course we're going to have all these issues coming up where there is racial bias, where there is allegations of corruption and brutality. All right. So coming to the United States, um, I came to the realization that look, we all can complain, but someone has to go in to make a change from within.
Mhm.
So that was my driving force in entering the police force in the United States.
And how's and the 7 years you have served in the force, how has your experience been like? How has that has your experience or your perception about the police force has it evolved? Or I mean, how will you describe your experience over the 7 years you have served?
Well, for the past 7 years, it has always been a roller coaster. There is not a specific time like everything is smooth or no. There is up and down, like in any other career. All right, you will have supervisor that a little bit different from you, that think different, that act different,
Mm-hmm.
cultural differences.
Mm-hmm.
All right, but I have, I have no regret
Okay.
basically.
Okay. Okay. Titus, question from you.
Getting into the force, it have opened my perception.
Okay. Okay. Titus, question from you.
I have an appreciation for Ms. B's question because it's like we're jumping right into it, right? You're in the community. You've been motivated to be the change and not just complain like me, right? You know how I go hard against you guys,
Right.
and but you took the stand. Kudos to you. So within that context, how have you played a part in building trust within the community, or have you been a part of any team, within your sector of policing, that displayed that building of trust with the community, and how has that panned out?
Well, it has been a good experience for me. Getting in the police force, it helped me to bridge the gap between my community, not only the African community, but people that look like me. Serving from within the police, it gave me that opportunity to let look, even though this person have committed a crime, but we still have to give them their dignity and their respect. Regardless, they're going to jail, yes. But one thing you can't take away from the person is their dignity. You already take the freedom. So me serving within the police force, it helped me and it helped others to bridge a gap of trust. I have served, like your question says, I have served in different capacity. All right. There are times, there are calls in certain minority community. They will always send people that understand that language, people that understand that culture. And I always fall part of that group to bridge a gap and bring understanding between the community and law enforcement.
Okay. Like in the in the Newark area or in Newark, in New Jersey, are there other folks, other Liberians that are serving in the police force, or are you the only like officer in Newark? Do you know about? I mean, how many Liberians, if you
Well,
care to share?
currently, I can say we have close to 5%.
Okay.
It's a very small number. This is a big one of the biggest department in New Jersey, and we
Okay.
have like 5%. So I'm always reaching out. This is including a dispatcher. All right, we have a Liberian dispatcher, and I mean the number can get better. That's why I always reaching out to my brothers and sisters. Look, the police is something that you need to get into. You know.
I mean, that's a good segue right there. A quick question for you there. You have a lot of immigrants or Liberians go into the military, but you don't normally hear Liberians or other immigrants, right, try to go into the police force. Why you think that is? And what part or what are you doing to encourage more immigrants, more Liberians to go into the police force?
Well, this is where the organization comes in. We are known as the Association of Liberian Law Enforcement Professionals. All right.
Okay.
This is a conglomeration of Liberians from all walk of life that
Hmm.
came to the United States and take on the role of law enforcement. We
Okay.
got correction officer, we got probation officer, we got sheriff, we got you name it. People that work in the office of the chief of police, people that work in director's office. All right. So we came together as one. We got members in Minnesota, we got members all across the United States. This is what we're doing, trying to reach out to our brothers and sisters that look, the military is good, but we got to reinforce it with coming back to our community where we got to bridge the gap between all our immigrants. We got a lot of Nigerians, we got a lot of Ghanaians. What more about Liberians?
Mm.
You know,
Okay. Okay. Miss B, question from you.
So you're serving as a police officer in New Jersey or New York?
New Jersey.
Man, brother, what them streets? Uh,
It's rough.
those are some those are some rough streets. We always talk about when people get pulled over here by Minnesota. We say you need to go to the East Coast because you have nothing better to do here in Minnesota. This is not dangerous at all. And so I really commend you from being out there in the East Coast streets, man. That's nothing nice. But is it as bad as we think? I mean, what does an average day look like for you? I mean, we watch all these movies, the bumbleglads, man, they be on the streets, and we hear stuff, and we just examine this rough life. So is it that bad? And what does a typical day look like for you?
Well, there is no routine there. Like we always say, there is no routine. You never know what happened next. All right. We just lost a brother in March. He was a brother to me, may God rest his soul. I was supposed to be working at unit overtime, you know, but with the grace of God, you never know. So it is dangerous. Every day, especially in my community, Newark is the largest police department in the state of New Jersey. Is we face the most crime. It comes to theft, stolen vehicles, all these things, robbery, aggravated assault, you name it, is here. All right. So every day we step out there, whatever you believe in, just hold fast to that. When I was doing my training, training officers, I'd always tell them that, look, if you believe in anything, you better hold on to it. If you believe in God, believe in God, because you never know what awaits you behind the door. We go to domestic violence where you go to help someone and that person end up turning against you. All right. So it is rough out here. It is just the grace of God that get us going in and coming back.
And we're to that point though, right? Newark at some point, sometimes it's new as the motor capital. I mean in the US, right? Chicago, obviously, Chicago or subside Chicago always top the list, but Newark is one of the top. You know what I mean? With that, like, how do you? I mean, how do you balance that, right? How do you keep grounded? How do you keep going day to day, right? You said there's no routine there, but in a city that's so dangerous, right? So many crime and the murder rate so high. I mean, what keeps you going? I guess.
Well, the drive is just love for the profession.
Okay.
I tell you, I'm not the only person, but we got guys that just they got the opportunity of working in the back office. They got the opportunity of just staying in the office and working as detective, just doing investigation. But these guys take upon their role and like, look, I got to go out there and work the streets. The kid we just lost, just 26 years old, young kid, very
Mm,
bright,
mm,
Joseph Ascona. This is in the last 10, 15, almost 20 years, we never had you know, a wash on the job. For
mm.
every time I talk about it, it's a little bit,
Yeah, yeah.
sad and scary, but he losing his life at that age was a man. But it was because of the love for the job, going out
Mm,
there, serving the community that you live in.
yeah.
That's why people do these things.
Okay. Tadas, question from you.
Brother, I gotta tell you, I gotta thank you for your service out there. We all know it's really a rough part, you know, in these areas. And thank you for also being in my corner, man. I can be a hothead sometimes. In fact, one of my experiences that I recall, I don't know if you remember, but one time I was on the East Coast and I like to carry my my
Right.
stuff with me, right? And I was gonna go through Jersey from Delaware, so I called him. I'm like, I got my stuff, I'm licensed and everything. And he was like, "Do not carry any, do not carry no gun. It's not permitted. Do not." I'm like, "But it's licensed and it's it's safe." He's like, "Don't, you'll get locked up." So that's one of the experience I always appreciate, man. Always standing for your brothers. But you talked about areas that immigrants are contributing to, right? You talk about like the dispatcher and whatever you. What are other skills that we as immigrants are bringing to the force, and what are some better ways you think maybe or strategies you guys could employ to bring recruit more immigrants? Only five of you guys in that big area.
Right. So the issue I always talk to my friends, family member, that's the first place we need to start. All right. It has to start from within before we can extend out. If we can't encourage our brothers and sisters to join, we can't go encourage another person family to join. All right. This is a big department. We got a couple of Nigerians, we got Ghanaians, we got Jamaican, we got people from different walks of life.
Mm.
Right. What I do say to people, some people are low. I'm not called out to be a police officer. That's okay. That's okay. But there are other jobs. There are police aid. There are dispatchers. There are other jobs that you can do to help this community, to change the face of the community, and also to use that experience,
Yeah.
go back home and help, do something.
Okay. Folks, tonight we are discussing immigrant in law enforcement, breaking barriers, building trust, and we have Officer Joe Fayiah here with us. He's from the great state of New York. He's a police officer in Newark, New Jersey. Sorry, not New York, New Jersey. Newark, New Jersey, right? It's like he's making a lot of sacrifices, folks. So you can contribute to the conversation here tonight by putting a comment in the chat or call them with number 952-594-5154 if you want to learn anything about the police force, about Officer Fire, about how to join the police force. You can, contribute to the conversation tonight. Any question he has for him, he can definitely, do his best to answer. But Officer Fire, man, like, that Tatas asked, right? And I would just like to kind of, maybe like follow up on that. How do your family feel? You say like you're encouraging your family. Like, how do your family feel? Like your wife and your kids, right? Seeing you going out there every day. It's like, how do they feel about you being a police officer in one of the most dangerous city in the United States?
Well, it's it's difficult, Frank. To be frank with you is difficult. But if you do have a support system that start with your wife, that goes down to your kids, that goes to your family, your mom, your dad, that do understand that, look, this is a calling, this is something that he chose to do. And they can see the difference. All right. There are so many times we go out there, it's not just to catch the bad guys. All right. Sometimes we save the little kid that is walking out in the street in a heavy downpour of rain. All right. That issue is amplified to the level of, national, it catch national attention to the point that we appear on, the local television stations and all this stuff. From that point, the family members, the friends, they understand that, okay, this guy is not just here to just catch bad guys, and here to make a complete transformation in our community. So with this support system, they always rally around you. They pray with you. My friends, my family, titles. He always come down on me, but at the end of the day, in the Lord, my man, just be safe out there. And he
Okay.
always say that, and I remember that. All my friends, this is the kind of support system that always keep us going. When you know that your brother back there, even though you're like, look, gentlemen, whatever happened on our traffic stop was unnecessary. Tacto, Tactos will call me on the low. What's going on with policing? But at the end of the day, a lot of wars will be safe out there. That means a lot. That helped us to keep us motivated. But that's the kind of support system that you need in any career,
Okay.
especially law enforcement.
Okay. Do you think, like, as a black person serving in the police force, do you think, and as an immigrant as well, do you think black people have a misconception about policing? I mean, how do you kind of try to balance that as a black person, as an immigrant serving this police force? And sometimes some of the are there misconception, I guess, that you think I mean, folks don't understand about police officers, folks from the outside looking in don't understand about police officer, but you in the inside, what can you tell us?
Well, from within, there is always that one person that always think that you're a sellout. Like,
Mm,
how can you, as a black man from Liberia, from the west coast of Africa, what are you doing here? What are you wearing the uniform?
yeah.
You a sellout. They will tell you straight in your face, you a sellout,
Yeah. Oh,
right?
whoa.
But
Okay.
majority of our mothers, our sisters,
Mm,
when you meet them on a traffic stop, they're, oh, maybe you're Nigerian or Ghanaian, someone from Burkina Faso, like, mommy, your insurance is expired. Oh, my son, thank you. I didn't know, you know,
mm, okay.
that alone, they take upon their time and they try to take your phone number to just tell you thank you. Like, no, mommy, we don't do that here. All
Yeah.
right.
Okay.
But
Okay.
majority of our people appreciate it.
Mm,
When they see us in uniform, they
okay.
feel accomplished. They look, this person is from all the way across Africa. They
Yeah.
came here and they're representing us. They feel
Okay.
good about it. All right. But always there is that one person that will say, look, you a sellout.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Okay. Great. Great answer there. Miss B, question from you.
What is that one thing that you wake up going to work excited about? What is that? What makes you excited to get up and go to this work? We talked about all the dangers and all the mishaps and the misconception. What keeps you excited about going to work every day?
Well, there are a couple of things, but our one thing is making sure my kids, my wife, my mom, my brothers, my sisters, they go to work and come back home safely. That's what I always look forward to. It's not easy, but if I can make the streets
Mm,
safer today, that I can patrol this area, that nobody going to sell drugs on this block, and nobody going to feel intimidated at all. The guy is taking over my block, and then end up into a shootout. Majority of the shootout, the suspect, they never get hit. The poor lady that just walking across, they always are the victims of these crimes.
mm, mm,
All right. So if I can make that corner safer, it means my son friend in the classroom gonna be safe coming home and going, to school. It means their mom, someone, some way, somehow I'm connected to. I didn't even know most of these things. I look, oh, I'm friends with your wife. I'm friend with your son. You know, so long I'm serving and I'm helping on that accident, doing that accident report, and I hear some of these things, it's a motivating factor. This is something I keep, it gave me the impetus to keep going and to keep doing the 12 hours and even do more 4 hours and overtime and stuff.
okay.
So this is a motivating factor.
That's great. That's great. We have a question here from Prince, a commenter. Sir, congratulations on all your accomplishment, brother. In light of the current political climate surrounding the Trump administration, specifically with the federal government mandating state and local government to allow ICE agency apprehend undocumented immigrants in combating immigration crisis. Is your police department collaborating with ICE to fulfill the federal government mass deportation crisis? Do you know, is this something that you're comfortable answering? Is the Newark Police Department collaborating with ICE? Is Newark considered like a sanctuary city? Any education you want to provide on that? Any knowledge you have on that?
Well, I'm not speaking in a capacity of a Newark police
Sure.
officer.
Hmm.
All right, I'm just speaking from my knowledge
Yeah.
personally and representing. the Association of Liberian Law Enforcement Professional. What
Mm,
I do know is my city that I serve is a sanctuary city, what
okay.
we refer to as sanctuary city.
Yeah.
All right. Our department, this is the East Coast. East Coast is labor as labor can be, man. All right.
Okay.
And then with the whole immigration stuff, local police department, it is voluntary. All right. It's a voluntary program. It's called a 289G. This is a Alien Nationality Act. This act gave federal government the ability to get into agreement
Okay.
with the local police department. If you choose, it is voluntary. The federal government not going to,
Impose.
force you to do it. It is
Okay.
a voluntary thing. Of course, you're going to get a grant for it. So
Mhm.
local department get into agreement with Fed, with ICE, immigration, enforcement, and
Yeah.
then they get trained. So within their training, they're going to get a grant, and then they can perform immigration enforcement in their local jurisdiction. As far as I'm concerned, this is something that is taking place 2024. We get over 450 of these agreements are going on between local and federal. But the last time I checked, New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, Philadelphia, they are not part of it. Even Minnesota, I haven't seen their name on that list.
Okay.
But, other states that, I'm not sure they are part of it.
Sure.
The local department go into agreement with ICE and they do immigration enforcement and it's 100% legal.
Okay.
Wow.
Tyler's question from you.
So I've always been concerned with the with your area. As in all disciplines, there are disparities, especially with immigrants. We have different experiences. For lack of a better word. Have you experienced any type of um, maltreatment, disrespect, any experience that made you feel that was due to maybe the fact that you're an immigrant, and how did you handle that?
Well, we always face these challenges, and it's not only with law enforcement, it's not only as a police officer, it's not only as an immigration probation officer or sheriff deputy. All right. This is across the spectrum of all careers. All right. You can be, I was an Uber driver and I still face, discrimination on the worst of form. Law enforcement is at a whole different level.
Hmm.
It's at a whole different level. And the bulk of these insult comes from people that look like you.
Hmm.
They call you out in your face, they say words to you that even the other race will not even think about calling you such names. They will kind of hold back. But people that look like us, they always say this thing. But when these things happen, we take it like a grain of salt because we are built like that. If you from Liberia and you can't take insult, you can't take joke, then you're not called up for anything in society.
Yeah.
So these things, at some point, it do bother you. Waking up, going to
Okay.
work to help and bring transformation in your community, and you face the adversary from people of your kind.
Hmm.
But we always look back to history. We look at Martin Luther King, we look at Malcolm X. These people, they face the worst of retaliation and retribution from within.
Mhm,
If these
mhm.
people survive this, all right, I can walk away. And most of the time I just smile in the faces, and then they take that as a insult, more insulting to them. And sometimes they just keep quiet and they don't go forward. All right. But we all in our various career, we face these things.
Have you ever feel threatened or scared, afraid? Like I mean, days that you're not in uniform. What goes through your mind? Maybe like going to the mall and things like that. What do you do? How do you deal with these things?
Well, in situation like this, every human being you feel scared. All right. Especially when I used to work corrections. I was put in the dungeon with the worst of the worst. And these people get free. They come out on the street. But again, you're not gonna there is no way you can be appeasing 100% to everybody you come across. But just let your heart do the work. If you go in there, I'm not here to hurt you. I'm here to help you. Even though you're upset at the time, as times go by, you're going to realize that, look, this was on me. Police officers don't just go around knocking doors and entering to cause mayhem and stuff. We usually goes in when there is a problem and someone call us. All right, we don't just show up. So with that motivation, when I joined my early years, I always used to carry my firearm, my off duty with me. But as times go by, like, look, I did that just for my family. But the same God that protect me will be able to protect my family. All right, I see no need to carry this. The fear may come that, look, if there is something that is going on, of course you have to act as an officer. You never off duty. That's one of the major reasons. But to be afraid that, look, someone going to attack me because I carry out my duties, that's something that comes in the mind of any normal person. But we always know that we went in with the rightful mind. Most of the time we meet these people in malls, and the same person you are fighting with, when they see you out in the streets, they approach you, their demeanor change.
It's different.
It's different. They never come around to say, oh, I'm going to fight you because the last time you did this.
Okay.
I met a couple of them on the street, and things change from that level.
Okay. Okay. Miss B, question from you.
So, you've been on the force for 7 years. What are your aspirations? What's next for you? Like, where do you want to go with this career?
Well, I'm still looking forward, pressing, and pushing for the higher calling. We have worked the streets. We have worked as undercover officers. We have done everything in the field of policing. I mean, you can't cover everything. But now we're trying to ascend into supervision. But in America, it's different. Especially my department, you have to go based on what you know. You have to sit and take a test. If you pass the test, you get promoted. And the test is by school. You score 100, you got to wait for the veterans, those that went into the army. These people are going to be picked first, and then you will be next. My department is very big. So we got a list of about 100 people on the list. You down 50, you're going to wait until these people, are taken care of. But my aspiration is to go into supervision, try to model and build officers, especially people from our side of the world, into accepting this field and doing what they can to change humanity, to change the nature of law enforcement, to change the face of law enforcement in America. We don't just have to criticize from the outside. I always tell people that, look, go within and make the change from within.
Okay. Well, folks, today we are discussing immigrant in law enforcement, breaking barriers and building trust, which Officer Fayiah is doing in the city of Newark, New Jersey. A couple of questions here from our commenters. And folks, you can contribute to the conversation by putting a comment in the chat or calling our number 952-594-5154. I think Ms. B already actually did in your answer how long you've been in the force. You talked about this earlier. If you have been promoted, I guess not yet, right? You haven't been promoted.
Not yet. Okay. We on our listing. It's just a matter of
Okay.
time. They're gonna take time.
Okay. And then, like, the other thing from Amanda here is, have it been a time you favor one Liberian? Have you done favor for your Liberian people? Sometimes maybe, like, I know Newark, right? Newark, man. Sometimes I know, like, especially on the East Coast, sometimes parties be popping. I mean, have you done any favors for your people? For your Liberian people?
Yeah, I mean, it's not a favor. It just
Okay.
it was in the form of a regret. It came to a point that, like, Lord, if I knew it was a Liberian, I wasn't gonna do that. I was going to emphasize my discretion, because every police officer do have a discretion.
Okay.
But if you break the law, you break the law. In America, now we do have something called body worn camera All right, we call that behavior modification box. It's a little box right here.
Uh-huh.
It's something that tells you that look, you can't do this. If you do it, you're gonna be penalized. If you do it, you're gonna appear on the 7 o'clock news. You know, you're gonna be all over Facebook. You don't,
Yeah.
no police officer want to go that far. All right.
Mm.
So the scenario was this vehicle was parked on the street. You know, the license plate that is on it doesn't match the vehicle. Now we do have police vehicle that pick up everything. By the time you drive through, that vehicle gonna pick up something they call the automatic license plate reader. They're gonna read it and it's gonna alert you that look, this car doesn't match this plate. So automatically the system goes off. All right. So when I noticed that, I had to go back and I have to tow this vehicle and I have to issue citation because
Okay.
I was the wrong thing. When I look, my Oma came out, oh my son, that's my vehicle. From from the diction, the articulation, I knew straight that this is one of my people.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I have to break it down to all them. I'm really sorry that this has to come to this, but we do have body one camera. I wish I could exercise my discretion, but it's too late. I've already called a tow truck. I've already issued citation, but this is what you can do. Just go downtown tomorrow, carry rifle paperwork, carry rifle plate, and take it. But I felt really bad. And Amanda, thank you for that question, man.
Okay. But here's the thing though, let me just push that a little bit, like the stuff you mentioned about the police car. Is it like, I mean, that's something, right, that you guys have to do, but like patrolling like an immigrant community or black community do, I mean, is there like misconception that wherein folks might feel like you are profiling them, or because I mean that stuff is in every community, right? It's like, but do you think in the black community or in the immigrant community, folks might feel that they are being profiled?
I mean, from what I do know about these vehicles, there is a lot of limitation, things that we
Oh,
can do. All
okay.
right. This vehicle just going to pick up basic information. Okay.
Okay.
If the license plate match the vehicle, these are basic information. It doesn't even goes into the person
Okay.
address and all these pertinent issue. So these things, what we can do out there on the street is very limited. We are limited by law. We can't do certain things. The
Okay.
Fed is a whole different,
Yeah.
scenario.
Okay. And another question here from Prince. As a law enforcement professional, what's one of your proudest accomplishments?
Well, I got a couple, and thank you, man. Thank you, Prince, for that question. Um, One of my proudest is, every time at the end of the year, we do have card. We call that it's FOP card, some call it PBA card. These are cards that we distribute to our family members, friends. Status is, every year in we get this card, and then I and my wife will sit and we will distribute and put it in a Christmas card, and we share among our friends and family members. This is something like we all got discount to our various area of work. When you work at the airport, you got flying benefit. Police
Yeah.
officer, this is what we get for our families.
I'm a proud beneficiary.
Right. So we mail these things out. And whenever our aunties, uncle, friends, family members are pulled over, they use this to get out of a strong ticket. Sometimes it depends on the officer that you're going to meet. All right.
Oh, okay.
Some of them are
Okay.
like, look, I'm not buying this stuff. But majority, with the exception of Virginia, Virginia is a whole different state, man. They don't,
Okay.
they don't really respect our cars. But 9 out of 10, you gave the car to the officer feel, less. They feel like okay, they feel protected. And a person is a family member, is a friend of a police officer. I'm going to give them the courtesy. This is the
Yeah.
only benefit we get out here. That's for our friends and family members. That's a proud moment that
Okay.
I always share with my friends and families.
Okay.
So
That
it's
is,
a it's a
oh,
it's a
go ahead.
monopoly get out of jail card, get out of jail free card.
That's
Titus.
just our that's
Wow,
our
Titus.
little benefit that we
Nobody going to jail.
But if you
I love
commit a
that.
crime, this car doesn't help you.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's just traffic stack routine style. Like, look, your insurance or your registration is expired. You driving with busted tail light. This simple stuff. Nothing
Okay.
crazy.
Okay. Okay. Titus, question from you.
I gotta ask, as Abe was saying earlier, when you patrol immigrant communities, have you ever been on duty with a partner and you witness maybe your partner treating, that immigrant or that black brother unjustly? You knew it was probably in violations of his rights. I mean, have you ever experienced that? And if you did, what did you do? How did you address it?
Well, for the most of my career, I usually, ride solo, where we
Okay.
call Alpha car, Bravo car, which means you patrol by yourself most of the time. Does it mean I work with partners? Yes. Sometimes I do. When I work nights, you got to be two-person. You can't be a one-man car working night shift. Even
Hmm.
daytime, certain jurisdiction, certain sector, you can't work by yourself. You got to be two-person. All right. Sometimes we do encounter this situation, but we have policy, police the police. We are there to help our brothers to not get into problem, to not violate other people's rights. If I see you going the extra, you're doing something that is not according to our policy, I pull you on the side, just hold you, take you on the side. I'm not gonna, bat you in front of the surveillant or so. I'll take you on the side, tell a little cool off, let me take care of it. And then you intervene. You have the duty to intervene. That's a policy that every time during briefing, they always tell you that look, you here to look out for your brother, you're here to look out for your sister. Do we sometimes get annoyed? Do we sometimes get carried away? Do we sometimes cross that line? Yes, we do. But that's when the duty to intervene comes in. You step in, put him on the side, and then you effect the lawful reason why you guys are in the identical area.
Okay. Um, when you are patrolling your community, or maybe like if Liberians or other immigrants see you, what's their reaction? I mean, how are you perceived by other immigrants, maybe especially Liberian, when they learn, oh, it's a Liberian person serving the New York Police or the Newark Police Department. How are they perceiving you? What's their reaction like?
Well, most of the time we are received with, open arms, especially from back home. We always see police, the military, we hold them into high esteem. So for every time we patrol the immigrant community, for every time we respond to calls that has to do with, immigrant, that has to do with Liberian, Nigerian, Kenyan, you know, that has to do with anyone from Africa. The first thing they do is they open arms to you. They take that stuff as family matter. But look, we're going to discuss it as family matter. The police officer is here, and we're going to talk about this. So most of the time we are received with open arms.
Okay, okay. Well, I think uh your proudest moment, right? Amanda says she want to get some of those gift cards once you send them out, and then it's the same thing she's trying to drive her here, right? She want to be part of your family, basically. She want to be part of your family because she's afraid of police. I mean, I mean, just this though, right? A lot of people
And then there's
sometimes,
funny.
a lot of black people, right? So are so afraid or seems to be so afraid of the police or even immigrants. Is it what it is about police in this country? Sometimes folks are so afraid of them. I mean, you in the inside, right? What is it about police? Is it like sometimes? I mean, some folks might see police and it's just someone that doesn't have any criminal record. Everything is legit. Everything is, but it's just they're just so afraid.
If
Why?
I may add to that
Yeah,
question,
yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
do you think there should probably be a specialized unit just for people like us or immigrants? Maybe that will curtail the fear a little bit that Abe is talking about.
Right. So to answer your question, yes. And a lot of local departments, they are in the business of creating a community enforcement policing. This is a specialized unit, that just deal with the community. When there is a problem, they always go into intervene. All right. the current um, police director, Brian O'Hara, for the
Yeah.
Brooklyn Park area,
No,
or
Minneapolis.
Minneapolis.
Yeah.
He from Newark. He was our
Okay.
police director, and he left.
Okay.
He did so much good job when it comes to community policing. That's why
Uh-huh.
he got a job on the other end, because
Oh,
of the
okay.
job he did here. You have to understand, with the Newark Police Department, we are on a consent decree.
Okay.
For the little man out, the consent decree is when you are being monitored by federal government for things that you did in the past, like human right violations and police brutality and all this stuff. So the federal government comes in and monitor your activities. Every arrest you do, they gotta go into it. So no department want to be on a consent decree. But Brian O'Hara, you know, chief, now he's the chief, right?
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
did
Minneapolis.
so
Yep.
much work. He did so much work for the Newark Police Department in reforming us, taking us from that, past history and bringing us to be community oriented
Mm.
policing. All right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So what we did with our department is everywhere, every precinct, every sector do have a community police officer that always go check on the elderly. When there is an issue, they always goes there to, talk and try to bridge the gap between officer. Well, when it comes to immigrant or any other person feeling scared of police officer, that's a lot. It has to do with a lot that happened
Mm.
during the course of the person. We
Yeah.
all growing up, we are afraid of police officers.
Sure. Sure.
We are afraid of the army. All right. But there are a lot of stuff that we see on TV. There are a lot of things that we see that, you don't want to be part of that statistics. All right. So that's why people are afraid. People don't even have no record. When they are pulled over, they start being afraid. They start, trembling and shaking. It's because of bad experience, things they see
Yeah.
on TV and all this stuff and social media. But what we can do is to come in and look. You don't have to be afraid. You need to, realize, can I reach in my glove compartment? Yeah, go ahead. I'll even help you. This way you try to calm the person's nerve and work with them.
Okay.
So it's gonna take a lot. So Amanda, I got you. By the end of the day, we're gonna get information. I think you related to Titus. So we should be able to do that and help you through so that you can be relaxed whenever you have an interaction with law enforcement.
Okay. Okay. Miss B, question from you.
So the part about where you talked about having discretion, is that something that's always been in play, or is that due to the George Floyd incident? And if not this thing, how did that impact you guys in Newark? What changes were put in place since that incident?
Well, George Floyd incident brought a lot of reform in policing across the length and breadth of the country, not only here but also in other part of the world. The George Floyd incident brought a lot of changes. All right, discretion has always been something that has been in policing. You do have the discretion to let someone go. All
Oh.
right, if it is a traffic stop, not heinous crime. All right,
Okay.
discretion doesn't come to crimes that that, look, this is wrong. You shouldn't be holding someone against their will. You shouldn't be beating on another person, assaulting another person. You shouldn't be doing these things. And so there is no discretion. Most discretion will be maybe motor vehicle stop. Even at that, if you driving 100 miles per hour on a 65 or 55 miles per hour road, then you really doing something to harm another person or to cause loss of life or damages to property. So something like that is really hard. Discretion comes in when the police officer see a broken tail light. And look, with this, I'm just going to give the person a warning. It doesn't have to end up in, the person receiving a summons to go to court and all these things. So yeah,
Okay.
discretion is there, but it's limited. It doesn't cover the wide spectrum of aggravated crimes.
Okay. Well, folks, tonight we are discussing immigrant in law enforcement, breaking barriers, building trust, which Office of Joe Fayiah is doing in the city of Newark, New Jersey. You can contribute to this conversation by putting a comment in the chat or calling our number 952-594-5154. There is another comment here for Prince. He's promising that this will be his last question in that because the main thing that he's grilling you too much. So he said, as a law enforcement practitioner, how do you address conflict and cultural differences with your colleagues in your department who hold different beliefs and value system?
Well, Prince, thanks again for the question. You can keep, asking these questions because it's not only going to better me, but it's also going to better the relationship between our community, the law enforcement, and the civilian world, especially the Liberian community. All right. So these questions are really, really good. We should keep them coming. But we all from a diverse background. All right. We got Muslims, we got Christian, we got Catholic, we got Protestant, we got people from different backgrounds, we got Buddhists. Law enforcement now has a different face. All right. Does that mean that, you know, going into a house, you are called into the house legally, probably for a domestic or civil dispute. There are houses you cannot enter with your shoes on. The person gonna be like, look, I do call you in, but you can't enter in my house with your shoes. You got to take it off. Are there people that don't understand why is this person telling me as a police officer to take off my shoes? There are people that don't understand that. Now, what do we do? Me coming from a background, from a Muslim background, with friends in a Aladura church, I understand why, people won't allow you to walk in their houses with shoes on. So within this context, I will usually put my friend or the officer that doesn't understand, I'll call them on the side and look, this is completely cultural or it is, religious. You got an option. You don't have to, but if you don't have to, you can stay outside and we will go in and do what we have to do.
Okay.
But at that point, you have to understand that, look, this is the person's domain. This is their private area. When they tell you that, look, I don't want you with shoes, just understand. But again, we do have training. Most departments have this diversity training, like in service. You get time, one a day, you go on the computer and you go through all this training because
Okay.
we are in a diverse world.
Okay. Yeah, and that just brings me to my next question, right? Newark is a very diverse community, it's a very diverse city. We've been hearing a lot about how immigrants commit crimes, like even the mass deportation about Trump 2.0. It's all about violent criminals, and things like that. What would you say about, the crime rate in Newark compared to native versus immigrants? How will you compare that? Do you have any data that can say, do immigrants in your community commit more crimes compared to typical Americans?
Well, I don't have the data to speak to when it
Mm,
comes to that, but
mhm,
crime across every spectrum, across every race and different religious background is prevalent in every group. All right, there is not one that okay, because this is an immigrant sector, so there is no crime. There is always it doesn't have to be drugs related. It doesn't have to be firearm, but there is domestic
mm,
family fight.
yeah.
Boyfriend girlfriend they always have disagreement. So other stuff do happen. All right.
Mm,
So I'm not looking at the statistic and all this thing. That's on my department. But what I do know is crime is widespread everywhere. You will see crimes.
And then another question related to that, right? What's the interaction like with the immigrant community, with the police department, or with the police force? Are they like if something happened like this stuff you just talk about boyfriend and girlfriend fighting and there's a domestic violence? Are they comfortable involving the police, right? Calling the police? Are they comfortable doing that?
Well, immigrant community, we are a stubborn kind of people. Most of the time, these things happen because of our background and how we deal with things back in Africa or
Mm,
in other part of the world, like India. We usually don't want to involve law enforcement.
okay.
But sometimes the neighbor will call, hello, this is going beyond a point where we have to keep talking like family. This is where we have to involve law enforcement so that boundaries can be set. You are a man, you know, you can disagree with your girl all you want, but there is no reason that you should strike them. There is no reason you should put hands on another female. There is no reason a female should put hands on another man. So
Hmm.
there are boundaries, and these boundaries are only set by law enforcement. You
Okay.
can't enforce the law. So these things do happen. Do
Okay.
Africans generally want to call police? No, they don't. They always want to wait. And look, I'm going to tell the pastor, and the pastor will come and intervene. I'll go tell my imam will come and intervene. So these
Okay.
things happen.
Okay. Titus, question from you.
Man, we're soaking in a lot from you tonight, bro. Thanks for all of the education you're providing here tonight. So as you're in this diverse space, right? Do you think the presence of immigrants in the force in your department is impacting any policy there? And just to follow up with that, if you could change, right? If you have the power to maybe add one policy to your department, to the police in general, that will serve as continuous improvement for the force, what would that be?
Well, first to answer the first question where you ask if there is a change of immigrant in law enforcement, there is a big change. There are stuff that a police officer from Pakistan will be easy. It will be easy for them to relate to a Pakistani that having a dispute as compared to or white or African to intervene in that case. It's very difficult. So a Pakistani police officer understand the culture, he understand the diction and all the internal wrangling of how to settle these things. All right. I will understand how to intervene when a Nigerian man is having a problem with with his Nigerian wife. If a Ghanaian or Liberian or Kenyan, I will be able to relate to them, all right, as compared to a Caucasian intervening into something like that, or African American intervening into something like that. It's a big cultural difference. So
Hmm.
the fact that we have people from these diverse backgrounds into law enforcement, they're able to break barrier, they're able to break the language barrier and all this stuff, and be able to relate to the situation and be able to calm situation that it doesn't need no escalation. It can be something very simple. Sometimes because of language barrier, it goes far, it goes beyond point, and nobody is understanding anybody. At the end of the day, it shouldn't end up in someone getting locked up, but because of language barrier, I do. If I have to change any policy or if I have to implement any policy, it will be something that look, we all have to have a round table. If it is one day in a month, community leaders from different background always come around the table, have a community meeting that look, what's going on in your community? How can the police be able to help to make this place better for everyone,
Okay.
including the police officer that's serving in the area? So these are things that I would be able to look. This is something that we need to understand so that we can relate to each other. Look, this is the reason, this is the problem I'm having. You with the community, you guys keep parking on the street. You shouldn't be parking there.
Okay.
All right. And then the person will be able to relate to me that look, I'm parking right there because my landlord is not giving me a parking spot.
Sure.
All right. So this way we can be able to cross across and solve problems. If
Okay.
I am to implement any policy, that would be one of the policies that I would definitely look into.
Miss B, question from you. Unmute. Unmute.
I wanted to ask about the crime rate. Do you feel that crime is down? You've been on the force for 7 years. I just wanted to know, do you guys feel like in diversifying the police force, has that shown in the results of the outcome in a lower crime in crime rate in Newark?
Well, not only in Newark, yes. To answer your question first, yes. Diversity in law enforcement bring down crime across the length and breadth of the United States of America.
Mm.
All right. There are places, there are communities that are still being, policed by people that don't look like the community. They still facing challenges. There is still a barrier. But across the length of the United States, there have been a sharp decrease in crime as a result of diversity. All right. So there, anywhere for that matter, any profession of that matter, the more people you bring in of different color, of different creed, different religious background, the more people you're going to see coming over. And look, I'm only going to the car dealership because they do have a librarian there that will be able to cut me a deal. All right. That will be able to give me, to tell me how to save. If they do have people in housing, real estate, I'm going to a librarian, and not only that I'm going to support them, but I'm going there so the person can help me to get a house with less stress and, all these uh, uh, bureaucracy that are settled in front of you.
Okay. Well, folks, tonight we are discussing immigrant law enforcement, breaking barriers, and building trust, which Officer Fayiah is doing here for us tonight. Great education. He's dropping some great gems. But this is a 1 hour show, and the man is on the East Coast, and we've been here now 1 hour, 5 minutes. So we can't keep him all night, right? We'll just drag it for a few more minutes, and then we'll try to wrap it up. But if you still have questions, you want to drop it in, you are welcome to do that in the comment chat, or call our number 952-594-5154. But another one here from Precious. What are some of the challenges that officers face in your department, and how does the department support them in addressing those challenges?
Well, challenges that we face, officers from diverse background, you know, immigrant officers, we do face the same problems. All right. Most of the time, the things that we complain of in the state of New Jersey is the same thing that people complain of in Brooklyn Park. Police officers will complain about the same thing. So we look at suicide rate.
Mm,
That's one of the major things. There are a lot of things that we see on this job that we have to rely on non-police officers to be able to de-stress and take down things. Titus is here most of the time. I'm always, relating to them. We take trips as friends just to de-stress. But suicide rate is one of the major things. There are things that we see as police officers that no human being should see these things.
mm,
If you see a severe malnourished person, and that person is at the point of losing their skin wherever they lay their skin, no, it's too gruesome that we can't even describe it on the show. All right.
yeah. Yeah.
But if you see these things and you go home, you driving home, you are not normal. All right. This is not normal things for people to see. So these are
Right.
some of the challenges that we do. But then how do we solve this problem? We look up to family that are not police officers. Sometimes we explain these things to them so that it get off our mind, you know. But within the force, they do have programs. One of them is called Cop to Cop. You're gonna take the phone and speak to a police officer that been there for years, that have seen everything. They're able to walk you through some of these things. Look, you are not alone. We all went through something like this. But we do face a lot of difficulties, especially when it comes to suicide.
Okay. How's your mental health?
Well, Tados can relate to that. You know, I'm not a psychic, but so far, my wife haven't told me that look, something is off with you. My kids still see me as the same regular person before joining the force. My friends still see me as the same person. I haven't heard Titus calling me like, "Look, bro, what's up with you?" Like, "Look, do you want to talk?" So far, not yet.
Yeah,
Uh,
you're doing good. You're doing good.
So my mental health, I rely on friends and family members. Sometimes I see some messed up stuff that nobody should see, and I call them up and talk to them about it.
Okay.
Especially when we had that shooting, when we lost the officer.
Oh yeah.
May God rest his soul. It was rough, and I had to, vent to titles. I had to vent to friends, family members. That, look, this shouldn't have happened because when we take him from the back of the car, when I brought a stretcher and we put him on it, what I saw, it was, no human being should, you know, depart this life in that manner.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
That was heavy. We were calling him like every day.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Thanks for that. Thanks for that. And we pray for you. We pray for your friend. Hopefully, may his soul rest in perpetual peace. But there's a question. I'll summarize this. I mean, the man was writing a lot of book here. But I'll summarize it for you, right? There's a lot of manpower needs in the community, right? Folks. I mean, it's like populations are increasing, especially in Newark. It's a diverse place. Folks are moving there every day. And as you mentioned earlier, you're working 80 hours. Sometimes working overtime. I mean, it's like in trying to provide safety for the community. What's your personal experience with that, right? Like working 80 hours or working overtime, or some of your friends, like working, like just the manpower situation, a shortage of you guys, right? There's not enough police officers. Even in Minneapolis, there, right, the largest city in Minnesota, there's just shortage of law enforcement officers. How's Newark addressing that? What's your personal experience with that?
Well, departments across the states, even as far as Canada, even in Africa, Liberia, as we speak, there is shortage of manpower. All right. But what we're doing as a department, what I do see the administrators doing, what I do see the police director doing is they continue to recruit, they continue to
Mm,
take people, they continue to bring people in. This is where we need help.
okay.
So recruitment. As far as even our organization, this is where this organization, the Association of Liberian Law Enforcement Professionals, this is where we comes in. We want to, you know, penetrate through the Liberian community and
Mm.
reach out to our brothers and sisters that look, there is career for you as a nurse in the police. There is a career
Oh,
for you as a realtor in the police.
Mhm.
There is a every look, law enforcement is so diverse that you can serve as a nurse, you can serve as a doctor without even, being on the street. You can be a nurse while working in a hospital, you will be a police officer. All right.
okay.
So we need people. This is where this organization comes in to break barrier. Our President Joe Lewis, he's a lieutenant with the Metropolitan Police Department in DC. All right, we got a lot of people from different background. We got a secretary from
Mhm.
California, the assistant secretary. I serve as a secretary, and we got people from every background. The organization is coming not only to help with the Liberian National Police, not only to go and teach, not only to go and train
Yes.
the Liberian National Police, but we also here to stick out for each other, to stick out for our community. We want to take our convention to Minnesota. We want to recruit every Liberian police officer or sheriff in the state of Minnesota to come on board. We
Okay.
want this to work not only for us as a Liberian community, not only for us as immigrant community, but to go back to Liberia and show the Liberian National Police how to conduct a crime scene, how to do
Sure.
a traffic stop, how to be
Okay.
professional, how to execute your duties without taking bribe. Even though we know that look, the money is not enough,
Sure.
but this job is more than just taking a bribe.
Okay. Just real quick then, right? What is your organization doing? If someone want to join the police force, how's the process like? How long does it take to become a police officer? If me here, Miss B say, hey, I want to join the police force, how long does it take? What's the process like? What
Well,
training do they need?
it depends on the states. States go by first of all your age, and every state has different requirements. All
Okay.
right. For my state, you have to be at least not reach the age of 35. 34 and below, you can enlist. But what you need to do, first of all, you have to take the test. Our state will stay taking tests. You have to take the test. You have to score high. If you score high, you're going to get an invitation. You're going to get a letter inviting you to the police academy. You go to the police academy. You do a 6 months of training where they're gonna put you through a whole lot.
Okay.
A friend of mine just went through the sheriff training, Josh, and he just came out. It is a difficult thing. There is a lot of stuff. There is a lot of opportunity. Like my brother Ernest Robert just said, there are a lot of diverse field that you can work in, even as a social worker. Like I said, he pointed out, you can be a probation officer. All right.
Okay. Okay.
So when you take the test, you make a successful pass, you go to the academy, they put you through that hell of a week, and you successful, you come back. Now, the good thing about it, we do have an organization like this that is going to walk you through every day. Because I have been through it, the president have been through it, the secretary, the treasurer have been through the training. So they will be able to walk you through it.
Okay. Well, folks, we have been discussing immigrant law enforcement, breaking barriers, and building trust. We have gone 1 hour, 15 minutes. Like I said, it's a 1 hour show. So now we'll try to wrap it up here. We'll try to wrap it up here with Officer Joe Fayiah. He's on the East Coast. It's lit. It's getting lit over there. So tell us your last question.
Sure, sure. So, yeah, Officer, we would like to really thank you for coming on here tonight, and just presenting facts and education for all of us, the audience, our community, and what have you. Special thanks also to what you guys are doing with the police community in Liberia. Some of your guys go out there and they go on the radio and they talk about the work and efforts. They're really applying there. The other time your guy Hens was out there too, just talking about what you guys how you are collaborating with the force in Liberia as well. And I'm sure you will you have more to do ahead of you for the community here in the States and also for Liberia. Again, congratulations on being selected as or elected as the Secretary General for the Liberian law enforcement in the States. I'm so proud of you, brother. If there's any last thing you would like to see with policing in the next 10, 20 years in these parts, and just throw a little light to for Liberia, what would it be?
Well, this is where we individual like minds came together, the likes of Lieutenant Paz Suko, Alfred Johnson, we have Ernest Robert, we have Joe Lewis, we have Sergeant Gaylor. All these people, we have our Lieutenant Terrence Moore. These are people from diverse background. We have close to a membership of 100 people, including due payers or affiliate members. This is where the organization comes in to make that transformation for the Liberian National Police. All we are asking for is, look, we just need the audience from the hierarchy, from the police director in Liberia. Give us the opportunity. We are not interested in jobs. We are not. We only want to make the transformation that we saw when we were back home. Now, look, if I'm a professional in this United States, I have so much to offer. There are almost 100 years of experience within this organization that one person can go with a curriculum and be able to teach. If it is 5 Liberian National Police officer, they're going to make a lot of transformation. So what we requesting for is, Lord, just give us the opportunity to be able to teach according to your own rules and regulation from the Liberian National Police. That's all we need. We just need audience. We need audience with the police director. If Gregory Cuomo is listening or anyone can get to him, look, we just need a time. We want to make a difference. We want to help our brothers and sisters. There are so much going on in Liberia as far as crime scene preservation, collecting the information, report writing, motor vehicle stop, interacting with surveillance. Even when the way police officers march into places, there's so much that need to be taught that we just need that opportunity. We just need someone to let, what, we got this organization. Let's give them the time to come and show us how we can do this. We're not discrediting the Liberian National Police. They got brilliant people. They got a lot of capable people. But look, we just want to bring something different to the table.
Okay. Well, Officer Fayiah, it's been a great conversation tonight. You dropped some great gems. You provided some great education. I hope folks that are listening, young kids that are listening to you, will have the courage, right? We will consider a career path in law enforcement. My last question from you is, right, just in that line, a child is listening to you, or someone who's just an immigrant from Africa or anywhere around the world from Liberia, what encouragement, what message you want to leave with them tonight about the police force? Is it a how fulfilling is it to join the police force here? What's the message to them, right? In terms of being a law enforcement officer.
Well, I will encourage that child from across the length of the world, regardless of where you're from. Just keep it at the back of your mind and look, I want to make a difference. If you do want to make a difference, you can sit on the side and just criticize. There are a lot of things that is going on with policing. Not only policing, every other field, but policing needs you. It needs you to make that difference. Because you join the police, you can be able to relate to your friends and your brothers. So as an immigrant, as a Liberian, come on board, join the local police department. There are people out here. Our organization is here to help you, walk you through from step one, from taking a test all the way through the academy. We are here for you, and we can make a difference in the life of each and everyone in this world.
Okay. Well, with that, folks, thank you so much, Officer Fire, for taking up your busy schedule to join
Man,
us. It's been a great show. You provided some great gems. We kept you like for 1 hour, 21 minutes, right? It's almost 10 o'clock on the
Right,
East Coast, but we appreciate it, man. You provided some good information here tonight. And we hope you can make Inner Cycle
right.
podcast your
Thank you so
own,
much. Thank you
right?
for
And
affording me.
yeah, yeah, go ahead. Right? Yeah, yeah.
Right.
So,
Thank
yeah,
you
we
for
hope.
affording me the opportunity, AB.
Mhm,
You
mhm.
you guys are doing extremely well. I have to tell you that this is not like a program that is just for you know the drama, so to say. That's why I always tune in. That's why if I can,
Mhm,
if I have the time, I always contribute. All right. There are a
mhm.
lot of stuff going on social media with especially within the Liberian community. People get attention by using the airway, using social media to abuse their leaders and all this stuff. This program is totally different. So 100% you got my support. You
Okay.
got my,
Well,
everything will always reach out.
well, thank you
thank you,
so much.
sir.
Here we are intentional about amplifying immigrant voices, folks like you serving in a police department in your work, doing, contributing immensely, right, to the population, to the immigrant population. So folks like you don't want to highlight. That's what we are intentional about here at Inner Circle Podcast, right? Because if it's not because of us, right, no one will be hearing your voice, and you have a lot to contribute, right? You really, really have a lot to contribute. There's so many police officers that you just mentioned in California, folks. So many folks doing good work in this country, and that's what Inner Circle Podcast, so we're here to highlight it. So thank you so much again for coming on, and we hope, as I said, you can make this your home. So, folks, good night. We'll see you all next week. Thank you. Good night, folks.
Thank you, boss.